Welcome, everyone. We are live, and it is Thursday. Hello, Thursday. I was watching something the other day on Insta, and this young lady, what was. Well, good morning, sir. Who sent for you? Hmm? Anywho, I was listening to this young lady, and she was saying she speaks 5 languages, she plays violin for like God knows how many years. And she said, I realized that was not for me. She said, "Ugh, I just gotta find my purpose." I have told y'all before, the purpose is not lost. It doesn't need to be found. Like, is it predetermined or self-determined? Now, if you look at the rooster, his purpose is clearly predetermined. Because the moment you know that it's a rooster, it'll crow and it'll do a dance. It'll jump on chickens. It'll protect them from predators, sometimes at the expense of its own life. But that's what they do. That's their purpose, right? In the wild, that's their purpose. Now we have domesticated them. We've domesticated them. And then we decided, allegedly, that they are noisy and thus have no purpose. See what we do? Oh. We have this way about us of dictating what someone's purpose should or should not be. But purpose, if you look at it, as you go through life, we like things, we don't like things. We do what we like. My mother was so sweet. She was hilarious because she was up late from the election in Barbados last night. And she said to me, you could do what you like, but not for how long you like. Oh, Bajans are poetic, boy, let me tell you. You could do what you like, but not for how long you like. What does that mean? Well, you see, us as people, we try to impose what we think the purpose of someone should be. I have firsthand knowledge with this one. Because, I brag about my boy and his cooking skills. I said, well, why don't you be a chef? He goes, Ma, because I enjoy cooking and I'm good at it, doesn't mean I want to be a chef. I said, oh, point taken. I stand corrected, sir. See what I was going to do there? I'm trying to funnel him down a place that he may or may not be interested in. You see? For the longest time, I wanted him to take a martial art of some kind. So I put him somewhere when he was 3, 4. And he did what any youngster that age would do. He went for a couple of times and then he rebelled and he says, no, I don't want to. So I didn't send him back. But somewhere along the line, as he grew, discovered what he likes. He likes to move. He likes to move his body. He likes quick movements, So he started to look for a martial art that fit who he was. And this is how we ended up with Muay Thai. Yeah, he chose that. I did not. And so what ends up happening, what showed me there was the more we grow, the longer we live, if we pay attention to who and what we are, we will develop ourselves into a purpose. Oh, indeed. We'll develop ourselves into a purpose. Why? Because there's a predominant thing about you. There just is. There's a predominant thing about you. And it brings about a particular effect. So you don't have to go and rummage for a purpose. Well, some would say, but Angela, but God gave me my purpose. I can't tell you yes or no. But what I can tell you is you like certain things. You like certain things. And the longer you live and you explore yourself, you will do something that you enjoy. You see, we associate the purpose with money because of the society that we live in. We associate purpose with money. When in actuality, money wasn't always here, not in the fashion that it is right now. Bartering, on the other hand, was here because we had a way of trading things among tribes, among people. But money in the capacity that it is now was not here. Not in this capacity. Right? You know, you give Caesar what Caesar is due. Hmm? But your purpose, you will come upon it, not by accident, because there aren't any accidents. You will come upon it because of the principle of cause and effect. A whole bunch of little causes and little effects builds something. Yeah. Causes and effects build something. And then you end up doing it. You just end up doing it. I've told you this story before. On every single report card when I was growing up. I won't tell you my name, because that's neither here nor there, but all my report cards would say, Angela talks too much, asks too many questions. Oh, and every time my grandmother read that, steam would come out of her ears. She'd get so mad. She'd say, I sent you to school to learn not to talk so much. Yeah, not to talk so much. And that did something to me. It silenced me in a way, you know? It just silenced me in a way. I do not know why I enjoyed speaking so much. But then she had the audacity to teach me how to lead worship, hymns, and scripture, and was going to complain that I talk too much. Yeah, you don't give somebody you think is too verbose that task. You don't, because you don't want them to be chatty all the time. But no, every cause does have its effect, and every effect does have its cause. So you could say, well, that's a coincidence that I ended up being in a position where I had to talk a lot. Funny thing. And then here we are, a couple of years later, and this is what I do. I talk a lot. Was it a coincidence? Was it predetermined? How was she supposed to know? She tried to silence me. So when you look at it, you would think, oh, perhaps it is predetermined. I cannot tell you why I enjoy speaking, because I haven't taken the time to dig at it. I just do it because I like it, and it's fun, and it comes naturally. So yeah, we could say, perhaps it is predetermined. But what I'm trying to show you here is you come upon it, and you come upon it naturally because of the principles. So, what is that thing you're trying to figure out how to monetize because you love it? You see, if we practice the principles, you're not going to have to force or figure out how to monetize something. Why? Because a man's gifts make room for him and brings him before great men. That is why. We've heard where there is a will, there is a way. But do you understand what that means? Where there is a will, there is a way. That's a principle of correspondence, as within, so without. It is also cause and effect. Will is the cause, way is the effect. So I know, and this young lady, she's really so sweet. She's so young. She's 23, and she's like, I'm gonna take this time to find my purpose. And I just chuckled and I thought, is it a $10 bill stuck in the cushions of the couch? No, it is not. There is something that naturally you do. Really and truly. Something you naturally do. What is it? Well, you know what it is. I don't, because I don't live with you, so I don't know. But naturally, you do it, and you do it very well. When Ip Man first met Bruce, he described Bruce as precocious. He said, "Why do you want to learn to fight?" And Bruce was like, "To beat up people I don't like." Was his response. And he says, "When you're older, come back." Bruce was always that, I don't know, you would say laid back, and he was always a showman. He was like a peacock in the sense that he had beautiful feathers and he was going to show them. Every time I think of him, that's what I think of. And a lot of people marvel at the things that he could do. But he was just that way naturally. And what was his purpose? Was he a scientist? No. He was a martial artist. Is how people would put him in that box. But if you go beyond the box of martial arts, he showed you that he learned how to train his mind. And what better way to show than with physicality, right? So we look at ourselves and we think, oh, but my purpose, what am I going to do? You don't have to ask what you're going to do. Observe what you are presently doing. Observe what you are presently doing. And your purpose will materialize because you'll begin to see it. It's been there this whole time. But like I said, sometimes we get caught up in trying to monetize it. And because we say, well, you can't make money doing that, we put that on the back burner. But you know what? It drives you every day, though. It's in the back of your mind every day, and you do it naturally. Right? Like my little cousin. I shouldn't say little. She's not so little anymore. But I swear she was born with crayons in her hand. Crayons and canvas. Quite the artist, that one. Quite the artist. But so too is her mother. So then you have to ask yourself, whose purpose was it? Her mother's a phenomenal artist as well. I mean, her artwork is still hanging up in her old high school. But she's like, oh, that's just something I like doing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because we look at it, oh, it's just drawing. No, it's not just drawing. When you think of Michelangelo, it wasn't just the statue of David or the Sistine Chapel. There was something far greater that was expressed in the work that he did. So what is it that you naturally do. You have to give yourself that purpose. How do you give it to yourself? By observing. And when you observe, just do it. And for some reason, people say, well, that would be too easy. Is it though? It is. But look at what we do to ourselves. We judge our purpose. Oh, that can't be it. That can't be it. How do you know? We look at all of these people. If you look at Venus and Serena Williams, what was their purpose? They played tennis. What was their purpose? They inspired a whole bunch of people. But what we see at the surface is, it's just tennis, it's just a sport. It's how they got out of the hood, whatever. But don't just look at that part. What did they do? Right? The purpose is not something that we've got to go dredging in the bushes for. And they were as great as they were, they are as great as they are, because of what was within. Because of what was within. Anybody can practice and play for as long as they have. Anybody can. But there was something deeper. So you see what the purpose does? As you live and you observe and you do, you are molded and shaped by that purpose. But you see, we get lost. And if we're lost, we are lost together. You know what? When we do our purpose, when we live it out, something happens to us. We do not remain the same. Something is developed within us as we do the purpose. But Angela, can you have more than one purpose? We could be good at many things. We could be good at many, many things. But we keep looking at purpose as just this one static thing to be done. But in actuality, it has many facets. It does something to you. It molds and it shapes you. Now, allegedly, when Prince was a young man, he was locked in the basement a lot with the instruments. I don't know. I don't know his full life story, but he was locked in the basement for a lot of time, for hours and hours on end. So he looked around, and being as industrious as he was, he said, I'm down here. I might as well do something with my time. And he learned to play however many instruments that were in that basement. And we, as people, get to benefit from you. I would die for you. We get the little red Corvette, right? We get to benefit from that. But what was his purpose? Some would say, well, his purpose was music. Now the question is, if he wasn't locked in the basement with the instruments, would it have been? Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. So music did something to him. Being around all that vibration did something to him. He was wise beyond his years. So you see, the purpose is not static. If you would observe yourself, what you like, what you don't like, what brings a smile to your face, what makes you frown. Just observe those things. And your purpose, you're not lost. It is not lost. It is just that, when you're standing up in your store and you're looking for something, but you can't see it just yet. You can't see it. And then bam, all of a sudden you're like, oh, there it is. Not that it wasn't there. It was there this whole time. Right? But we've got to put it into perspective. You just do. My granddaddy was, phenomenal storyteller. Yes, he was. Sometimes I'd just be sitting there, mouth hanging open on every word this man was saying. He just had this gift for telling stories, to engage the mind and the mental faculties. That's what he did. Granny, well, she was the best alto on the island. Mm-hmm. She sure was. Whew. She moved heaven and earth when she sang. She sure did. But purpose. Was it her purpose to sing? I don't know. I just know that she loved it and she did it. And she taught me. Very interestingly enough, because I did not do what my grandparents did. My grandparents said, we go to church, so you go in. I didn't do that with Noah. I didn't drag him off to church. Matter of fact, the couple of times we went with Grandpa, he was not pleased. So I said, I'm not going to do that to him. And I also said, I wasn't going to necessarily put music out there for him because I know I love music and I love to sing. Until one day I heard him singing and I said, oh, somebody got a little skill somewhere. I said, what now? It just came naturally to him. Even through puberty, that voice remains as smooth as it is. And I said, oh my, he can sing. I had no hand in that. He likes to do it. So he does it. Doesn't like the same style of music that I like. He likes what he likes. And so I said to him, what do you want to do? He goes, I don't know. He goes, we'll see what happens. See, this is what I'm saying to you. You just have to live. Just live. And purpose is there. You see, we hold ourselves back when we say, but I need a purpose. What if your purpose is just to live, just to be, just to experience? But we want to be fancy schmancy. This is why the story of Wing Chun was so beautiful to me. After the monastery was destroyed and she was one of the very few survivors, she said, man, I was vulnerable. I can't be vulnerable again. I've got to find a way to protect myself. But I don't know what to do. I'm not like these men out here who know all this kung fu and wushu. I am not like them. I'm an itty bitty nun. What can I do? So as she was running for her life and sitting at the water's edge, contemplating her existence and what she was going to do with her newfound freedom. As I told you, the story goes, allegedly, a snake and a crane were fighting. And they would seem so ill-matched, though, yeah? Because the crane trying to eat the snake, and the snake's like, not today, sir. I am not your lunch. And she watched these two. And that is how she developed her moves. She imitated the fast strikes of the snake and the deflection of the wings of the crane. And she said, "Ooh, I could do something with that." And fancy that. She comes across in this village a young lady who was being terrorized by a military warlord. He's like, "I will have you for myself. You have no say." And she's like, "Please, sir, no, I don't want that life." And he was like, "It is irrelevant what you want." And so this nun, nobody really knows her name, she's watching this and she says, "Oh, I see." So she says to the young lady, whose name is Ling Chun, that's what she named it after, her first pupil. So here she was, wandering the countryside for her freedom, learning to fight like the snake and the crane. And then, coincidentally, no, cause and effect, she comes across a young lady who needs to learn how to protect herself. So she says, "Here's what I learned. Let me show you what I learned. I'll teach you what I learned." Prior to that, she had no knowledge that it would even be effective or not. But she knew that it would be. How'd she know? Snake and Crane showed her that it was possible. Hmm, fancy that. So, she taught her first student. What was her purpose? Nobody knows her name, but everybody knows the name of her first student, Ring Chun. Nobody knows her name. She was a Buddhist nun. But we think purpose has to do with lights, flashing, huh? That it has to be this big to-do hurrah thing, when in actuality, it just happens naturally. We put so much stock in the word purpose. We judge it so much that we blind the eye and deafen the ear. We can't see it, we can't hear it. Right? Rather intriguing, I say. So perhaps a fresh eye on purpose. My great grandfather was a baker. That is how he supported his family. He built a bakery onto his house, and let me tell you something. There's something about the alluring smell of fresh baked bread and pastries. Everybody came from that neighborhood to buy from him. And who were not in a neighborhood that heard about, they came too. That's what he did. That's how he paid his bills. He baked. My mother was saying to me how she remembered having to go and get the flour, these big bags. She remembers doing that. Me now, I love to bake. I didn't grow up with this man. I knew about him because I've seen him and I smelt fresh baked bread. But I don't know him like I know my granddaddy. Because he was my great granddaddy, this baker. So is my purpose to bake? As Noah says, because I like it and I'm good at it doesn't mean I want to do it for a living. I just want to do it for the fun of doing it. But we put so much weight on purpose, and somehow we feel less than, allegedly, if we don't have a purpose. What do you mean you don't have a purpose? You are here, so you have one. Period. Cause and effect. And it shows up right there for you. But like I said, perhaps it's the way we're looking at it. We feel if we don't have a purpose, we aren't anybody. You are someone. But we have this deception of what we think a purpose is. It is just to be. It happens naturally. But now we want to monetize the purpose. We want to get rich off the purpose. You want everybody to know your name. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name. Da-da-da, right? And they're always glad you came. We wanna be that. But purpose, my friends, perhaps it's not that at all. Whatever gets you out of bed in the morning, that's your purpose. It gets you out of bed. It does something for you. It's your purpose. It moves you. But you see, Confucius was right. We humans, we like to complicate things. Things are simple, but we like to complicate them. Just live and observe what you do and watch how you change in the presence of it. Right? Just watch how you change in the presence of this, whatever it is that you love doing. Just do it. And my girl Bree, I gotta shout out Bree, our resident artist, because I follow her on TikTok. And I've always said I just marvel at the way her mind is. She will she was so cute. She put the camera up and she showed the curtains. And it was just this curtain hanging there at the window. She's like, I'm gonna make a dress out of that. I'm like, how do you look at a curtain and see a dress? But she did, and she put that dress together. And now fancy this, get what she's doing now. The place where she always buys her fabric asked her, why don't you teach a workshop for sewing? Cause and effect. A man's gifts make room for him and brings him before great men. She just does what she does, and doors open. Because she's not so caught up in the, oh Lord, what am I going to do with my life? She just knows she looks at fabric, feels fabric, and got to make something with it. And not just fabric. She got this wallpaper thing and she covered her countertops because she likes the way the sun hits it. What? What? I was like, well, hot dog, you just gonna see this color and say the sun would hit this so nice, right? Who does that? That's what I mean. She just does what she does. So there's something that you do, just get up and do it. Oh, but Angela, there's no money in it. How do you know? That's your focus? Your focus is the money? Let me tell you a little secret. You focus on the money, right? Chances are you focusing on money in a way that says you don't have any. Well, as within, so without, because you focus on the lack thereof. So if you're focused on lack, as within, so without. She is just focused on, ooh, what colorful thing can I create today? There was a festival she was going to. My girl made a crown. She made a dress fit for a queen, and she went to the festival. I was like, why, Lord? Why couldn't that be me? Like, who does that? She does. Because she just loves it and is compelled to do it. Something drives her. She just does it. Is she the next Vera Wang? We don't know. But does she have to be? She is Brie. So are you? Are you? Hear that question? Are you? The answer better be yes. I am. That's the beauty of I am. I am can be molded and shaped into anything. You just got to get a little creative. What do you want I am to be? How would we know what we want I am to be when we spend so much time arguing and trying to compare ourselves to the next person? See, if you lay in your bed for a moment, before you get up and try and fight the world, don't do that. Just if you lay there, just lay there nice and quiet and relax. Oh, but I got things to do. Rush, rush, rush. You know what happens. Rush the brush, you waste the paint. Just take your time and you will see. You will sense. You will know what you enjoy. Stop stifling it. And how do we stifle it? Man, there's no money in that. Well, nobody might like it. What if nobody likes it? What if they get laughed at? And all of those things choke the life from that thing that you love doing. And that thing that you love doing, it is so beautiful because it adds life to you. It adds life to you. It doesn't leave you feeling dirty and icky. And no, it leaves you feeling invigorated, rejuvenated, inspired. Leaves you with a smile on your face. Yes, it does. Just get up and do it for the sheer fact that it's there for you to do. And you will learn much about yourself. Some say the purpose is to remember oneself. Allegedly. I don't know. I just know you get up and you follow the natural inclination because, as I said, when you look at nature, she doesn't force you to do a single thing. Oh, no, she doesn't have to force you. The conditions are right, and you act accordingly. Oh, indeed. Just like with a little bit of a sprinkle of rain and the warmth of the sunshine and the dirt to hug you. Ooh, that seed says, ooh, I feel appreciated. Let me sprout some roots, anchor myself. So today, my beautiful friends, perhaps change the perspective on purpose. Is it predetermined? Meaning, did somebody decide for you? Did you decide for yourself? Or is purpose self determined? Well, if there is nothing but the self, what does yourself like to do? Start there. Start there. Without judgment. Yeah, but what if nobody? That is judging it. Just do it. Yeah, Nike, just do it. Because you can. Somebody said because you can doesn't mean you should. Wow, we hold ourselves back, boy, thinking that we're cute with all these little sayings. Because you can doesn't mean you should. Because you're judging. Well, that thing is a bad thing, so you shouldn't do that. But perhaps if we see things as just simply good, just see them as good, we'll learn much about ourselves. Who's with us today? Oh, well, if it isn't the better man, hey, sir, it's been a while. I know you've been in the shadows, but I know that you're here. My sweet Melly Mel is here. K. Frame is in the house. Liza, darling, perhaps. Mr. Stafford Jr. Hmm. In these YouTube and Facebook streets. Jeff. Ah, Miss Tiffany, darling. I wonder. Say hello to Javion for me. Indeed. Kicking it with us here in these Twitter streets. And who is with us on Fanbase this morning? Oh. Blessings Jones. Hey, girl. A KZ, my sweet. Yes. Ray Ray is in the house. Miss McQueen, my Scotch bonnet, is in the house. So today, my beautiful friends, thank you all for being here and chilling, kicking it with us. Me and Lil Bit and Lady. And Lady is broody. She's in the corner again. So she was in the corner since yesterday. So this is 2 days. So we're going to count how many days is between the corner and the eggs. Mm-hmm. Because she did give me a dozen eggs. Mm-hmm. A dozen. I sure did get a dozen eggs. And so now we'll see how long until we get a dozen again. Ebb and flow. See, it is everywhere. Ebb and flow. Watch yours, watch your rhythm, watch your pattern, and see how you develop. And remember, we can't just end without telling you the process. Step one. What are you doing now that you don't want to do anymore? You said, I need to change. This is no longer beneficial to me, so I shall become something else. What is that? Well, then you decide what you want to become instead. And how do you decide? Well, what kind of life do you want? Do you want to go through life one situation at a time, or do you want to lay out your life like a story? You want to lay it out like a story? Does that story have a happy ending? Yes, it does. So, what would you be doing if you were living your ideal life? There's one thing that would confirm to you that you'd be doing that you would say, that's the life, baby. This is my life. And here's the evidence. There's one thing you'd be doing. What is that thing? And when you name that thing that you'd be doing, it's going to make you feel a particular way. And the reason why you have peace when you choose who you want to become, you know that every cause has its effect. Well, you're the cause. You just chose the cause. How did you choose the cause? By selecting the effect. You said, this is how I want my life to be. That is the effect. This is how I want to get out of bed in the morning. This is how I want to interact with the world. You chose the effect. Well, then you must know that every effect has its cause. So you don't have to say things like, is that going to work? Maybe. Am I doing it right? Choose the effect. And the cause is right there because they travel together. There's no delay. They travel together because they are companions. So you choose that effect. How do you choose it? Well, you experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman you wanted to be. That's how you choose your effect. And then after you've chosen your effect, rehearse that feeling. What feeling? Of what it's like to get out of bed knowing that you have successfully become who you wanted to become. Well, you'd have a feeling, wouldn't you? You'd have a pep in your step. You'd have that smile that says, yeah, baby, giddy up. You'd have that smile. You'd have that attitude. Well, rehearse that attitude. And you must know that when you rehearse the attitude, you must know what you're doing. You know that what you rehearse, you practice what you perform, right? Rehearsal and practice are the same thing. So when you're rehearsing or practicing, you know that that thing that you're practicing, you will perform it. How do you know? Driving, dancing, tying your shoes, cooking. You practice those things. Aren't you doing them now? Even if you don't have a car and you know how to drive already because you have your license. Same principle applies. You get that feeling. You remind yourself, yeah, this is what, yeah. And how do you know? Because your little teeny tiny Michelangelo with his chisel and mallet are carving out your neurological pathway so that you can do it. No need to hope, no need to wish, no need to pray and fast, no need to dance naked in the moonlight. None of those things is required. The knowing that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause, knowing that you don't have to convince yourself that it's true. You have to observe it in action, do you not? Do you not? So, don't ask how long it's going to take. How long did it take you to tie your shoes? You have to practice for quite some time. Just keep practicing and you'll know. How will you know? How will I know? How will you know? Because you'll see the evidence. The signs will follow you that you have set this thing down in your neurological pathway and it has taken on the tones of reality. That's how you know, because the evidence. So what are you going to do? Practice. How would you get out of bed? How would you get into bed? See? All right, all right, all right. I will see you on the morrow, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Fanbase. For all things pertaining to the Hermetic principles, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. You know I love you. So I'll see you on the morrow, my beautiful friends. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love to each and every one of y'alls. Go forth, my beautiful friends. Go forth and observe. See it, know it, because you'll do it. I do love you. Peace.